All right, if you have already watched this conference, the new conference that Trump did, a lot of controversies, but I think he nailed it. I think he answered all the questions, not just answered all the questions, he criticized um, the reporters as well because they were too passive aggressive. You can tell it by the tone, you can tell it by the way they framed the question as such. And again, now we're gonna watch this kind of like highlight or whatever, and the title for the highlight is Epic Meltdown. Donald Trump has disastrous interview in Chicago at NABJ Conference. We're gonna look into it because, and that I hate that. Why are people one-sided? They're hypocrite. Because if the same thing happened to Biden, he would be praised. Or not Biden, Harris. She doesn't even answer any question. But anyhow, let's look into the video and let's see what this reporter has to say and kind of like the highlights of as such.
An epic meltdown from the ex-president this afternoon, speaking with three journalists at the National Association of Black Journalists Conference in Chicago, a conversation that imploded right before our very eyes on live TV, essentially right out of the gates. Trump immediately breaking into a tirade against the first moderator, Rachel Scott of ABC News, who asked him about his past comments on race. And then Trump questioned Vice President Kamala Harris's racial identity. Take a listen.
Fair enough.
Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
That's literally, she's so passive aggressive.
Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question,
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me, if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is
Who
only on
gives
the
her
ticket
the
because
authority?
she's a
She's
black
not the
woman?
president.
Well, I can
He's
say,
the
no, I think it's
ex-president,
maybe
former
a little bit
president.
different. So,
He's stupid.
I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black.
True, that was the highlight when she
Years
became
ago, when
vice
she
president.
happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She is always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black woman.
I
She went to a
respect
historically
either
black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
And
you
I
believe
think,
that
I think
she is
somebody should look into that too when you ask, continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do
No,
you believe
you're
that Vice President Kamala
passive-aggressive.
Harris is a DEI hire, as some
I really
Republicans
don't
have
know.
said?
She's
I mean, I
passive
really
aggressive
don't know.
as
Could be.
fuck.
It's amazing he's gotten away with that for as long as he has. But it appears to be over. The 35-minute conversation
fuck are
was
you
like
saying?
that basically throughout. It remained contentious. Trump even defended his black jobs comment in a room full of black journalists.
I will tell you that coming from the border are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. You had the best.
What exactly is a black job, sir?
A black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
Vice President Kamala
mean, that
Harris's
doesn't sound-
response to all of this, absolute disaster for Donald Trump. This is who he is. A source close to Vice President Harris tells NBC News in response to Trump's claim that she, quote, became black, quote, it is simply a lie and easily disproved. She went to Howard, for Christ's sake. She's an AKA, referring, of course, to the historically African-American sorority Alpha Kappa Alpha. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was in the middle of her briefing when Trump's comments were taking place. She first laughed in shock and then said this.
As a person of color, as a black woman who is in this position that is standing before you at this podium behind this lectern, what he just said, what you just read out to me, is repulsive, it's insulting.
Is it?
And, you know,
I think that
no
is
one
the
has
problem.
any right
These
to tell
people.
someone who they are, how they
I'm not talking
identify,
about color. I'm talking about
that is
these
not
stupid
one's
people.
right. It is
And
someone's
it could be
own
white, black,
decisions.
brown, orange. I
It
don't
is-
give a fuck. You're stupid. You're stupid.
I'll add this. Only she can speak to her experience.
Oh, okay.
Only she can speak to what it's like.
Is it?
She's the only person that can do that.
Okay. Can you pay your rent?
And I think it's insulting for anybody. It doesn't matter if it's a former leader, a former president.
Do you have any other job than
It is
speaking
insulting.
rubbish?
And we have to put, she is the vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris.
He is
We
the
have to
former
put some
president of
respect
the
on her
United
name.
States. You have to put some respect.
Before we start today with some of our favorite experts and friends, the Reverend Al
these
Sharpton
people
joins us. He hosts
stupid?
Politics Nation right here on MSNBC. He's also the president of the National Action Network. With me at the table, former senator and co-host of MSNBC's How to Win 2024 podcast. Our friend Claire McCaskill's here. Also joining us, NBC News correspondent Yamiche Alcindor. She was at the convention in Chicago watching Trump's appearance as it took place. She's also our correspondent on the Harris campaign. Yamiche, let me start with you. Just go through. I don't even know how you rank the offenses, not just to the people in the room, but to everybody. But take a stab at it for us.
Well, I think this was really a remarkable moment in what has been a remarkable campaign season. To see former President Trump in front of a group of Black journalists who invited him to answer questions about policy, about his views on the campaign trail, about his views about America and his vision for the future, and to have him go after Vice President Harris in this way that is really questioning her identity, questioning her authenticity, was really something to behold. And I think as someone who's covering the Harris campaign, and it was covered, frankly, the vice president, when she was a senator way back, more than a decade now, I've been following her work and interviewing her. It's very clear that she's been very pointed and also very articulate when it comes to talking about her background, talking about what she got from her mother and her father being a Black man who was of Jamaican descent, her mother being someone who was Indian. She talks about how that background and her parents meeting as civil rights activists, taking her to protest in a stroller, that she
I have a bigger
had her
question.
identity
I don't give a shit if she's black or white.
very clearly
Can you pay your rent?
understood her identity as from when she was a little girl.
Can you pay
So
your
to hear him
interest?
say that she had been claiming to be only
Can you buy
Indian
groceries?
and only now is talking about being African American is just frankly not true, Nicole. She went to a historically Black college. She pledged and joined a historically Black sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated,
gives
the
who
first
she is?
historically African
It's
American
about what she
sorority
does.
founded in
Absolutely
this country.
nothing.
And she's time and time again throughout her career talked about the importance of racial justice and tying it back to her own identity. So this really is something that I think
It's
is
just funny at this point.
It is really hard to fathom that former President Trump thought that this insult, this attack was going to land. It just doesn't make sense to even say this. And in talking to people, you read some of the reporting that I got. I was sitting in the room and people were stunned, right? I'm going to take you a little bit behind the scenes. People were stunned. People were gasping. There were some people who were shouting back at him, saying, "That's a lie." So the room, the atmosphere, I think, was already sort of tense because this is a president that has attacked a number of National Association Black journalists. There was a lot of questions whether or not he should be invited. Everyone had different opinions. But when he started sort of talking about her race, it really just I think really made the room feel very much like this is a palpable anger from some people. And again, journalists we're covering him objectively, we're covering him fairly. But I think when you start to say things that are just simply not true and going after someone's blackness, it really hurts. And I want to just read to you some of the things that I got when I was texting Harris sources. One person said he's completely unhinged.
This is what happens when you don't grow up.
As you said. Someone else says it's completely insulting and repulsive. Exactly what Karine Jean-Pierre said from the podium. Someone else said it's simply a lie and easily disproven. She went to Howard for Christ's sake. Another person said this is painful, and I think painful might be something that Reverend Sharpton can talk about because there's a whole history of Black people having to deal with discrimination and having to deal with people taking their lives for their race. And who they are, and Vice President Harris has really found herself in the lineage of that. Let's both talk about that because she was at the in Selma, Alabama, at the Edmund Pettus Bridge, talking about racial justice. justice and to have this sort of, there can be policy differences, right? You can have policy differences, you can have different visions for the world, but this attack was just something that was, I think, that was really, really a low
These
bar,
people shouldn't
even
be
for
allowed
former
to
President
speak.
Trump, who has gone very, very much a low bar, gone very much
Because
underground
every
in some
time
of
they
the
speak,
comments he's made about different people.
nonsense. This was painful for me to watch because they don't freaking use their brain. They don't have a brain. They kept on crying, oh, race, brother. Do you have rent? You have rent to pay, right? Go pay your rent. Are you able to pay your rent? Are you able to afford groceries? Are you able to do all this stuff? No, they don't want to talk about that. In every conference, all they want to talk about is abortion. They want to talk about race. They want to talk about everything but economic state of the USA or the whole global situation as such. But no, they don't want to talk about that. They don't care. They're screwed in the head for that. And why are they crying about him questioning? Okay, that. I think these people are so hypocrites that they know if they start debating on that money and economic sector, they know that the Democrats have nothing on that. These people are so ridiculously they're just targeting these nonsense. They raise stuff like, who gives any single fuck if you are black or white or whatever the hell you are. And I think that is the issue, because again, the reason why we are here is because of these identities they wanted to pertain, or these identities they wanted to respect. But at that point, you are literally then appealing to a whole lot of people without any like decent kind of love and affection to anyone, because you're just trying to appeal to everyone. That none of that kind of like means anything, because you're trying to satisfy freaking black, white, orange, purple, red, green, blue. I don't freaking know what you are appealing to. Then you are appealing to different genders, yeah, and then blah 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 blah. All this rubbish is because of the reason we are here, because you are too focused on these identities, these dumb shit, that you are not focused upon actually innovation, on the growth, on the economic side of the country itself. But hey, let them cry about it. Womp womp. And let me know what you think about it, because to me, this was stupid. The whole video by MSNBC. Let me know what you think about it, and I'll catch you in the next one.